And a very good morning. Welcome to the Saturday preview with me, Dave Massey. I say morning, it's just afternoon now. It's 12:05 on the Friday. Got to get the video up nice and early because I'm going to be packing shortly for next week. Going away next week off to Devon. Going to be at Exeter Races on Tuesday. So if anyone's there, then you watch the vid and you see me there, come and say hello to me and the good lady. We'll be down there. Also at Stratford tomorrow. I'll be working in the ring, so I've got plenty on. Get the video out the way nice and early and get it up with the selections I thought. So, because there aren't that many selections, I don't think. I know it's Champions Day tomorrow. To me, it's one of the biggest misnomers in racing. This isn't, it's an end of season slog fest on ground that's going to be pretty horrible tomorrow. It's not. There's at least three of these races I've got no interest in whatsoever. The other three are mildly interesting at prices. There's loads to get through. I've got some jumps ones as well that I need to sort of point out to you. So we'll get cracking. The sprint at Ascot, first race. No great interest. If you could guarantee me Don Juan Triumphant going from the front rather than being held up, as he was last time, I might be mildly interested at 4 places and 28-1, which he is in a couple of places at the moment. Bet Victor. In particular, 28's 4 places makes some appeal on that ground, but I'd want to know he's going from the front. I don't want him held up again like he was last time behind Kate Byron. Other than that, I've got no great interest in the race. Similarly, the long distance cup looks all about Stradivarius. Even on this ground, I don't see how he gets beat in terms of the each way. Again, not much makes a lot of appeal. Mekong maybe at 25 on this ground. Maybe this is what he wants, 2 mile on this ground. There's a lot of guesswork involved, I think, with a few of these. I don't like the race very much. But the fillies and mares. Now, this is a race I've already discussed this morning with my good friend, Mr. Roy Largy, who doesn't really fancy a great lot. When I told him what I fancied, he just made quite a noise. The one I'm going to go with, and I know what he's saying, in so much as Sparkle Roll might have her own ideas about things, but I do think that 1.5 miles on soft ground around here really is a thing. When you watch the Ribblesdale back, you know how well she travels in that, and then when she's asked for her effort, I don't know whether she's just a little bit slow or whether she has got her own ideas about things. But either way, at 28-1, I'm moderately interested in a race where I don't think there are that many that I genuinely want on this ground. She'll relish it. She will absolutely relish it. And she's got, as I say, she's got proven form at Ascot as well. She handles the track. And she was closing in again at the end of the Ribblesdale. I think she'll be ridden a bit more prominently this time. I think Mr. Murphy will have a little bit nearer off the turn, and hopefully in the hope that she puts her head down and will go through with it this time. The fact she's had a break as well, I think that's a good thing. I wouldn't want to come in here after sort of off the back of 2 or 3 runs and she's sour. If ever she is going to put it in, I think it'll be off a break. And she did win first time up the season on ground she didn't like either. There's enough there for me to have a go at 28. If she throws it in, she throws it in. The 320, the QE2, again, a race I've looked at 2 or 3 times. The only bet I could possibly come up with was Century Dream at 20s, who placed in the race last year and has probably been trained with this in mind. Ground's absolutely fine. But it's a race again. I don't know. I may play at 20s, I may not. It's a race I've not got a great deal of interest in. And similarly, the Champion Stakes, I can happily pass that over. I don't want to have a bet in that. Magical's probably a little bit better class than most of these, but 7-4, I can give that a miss. Instead, let's have a play on the Balmoral. There's a couple here that's interesting. If the draw is low, I'm hoping the draw, you want to be drawn low, because I think they'll come up the middle. The stalls are going to be far side. I think they'll come up the middle in a bunch. And I think, again, you will probably want to be on one of the wings if you come in with a run. And that will suit Cloncooley down to the ground. Second in the Hunt Cup this year. And still looks on a fair mark, I think, based on that. Will have his ground. I think that's a key point here, is that a couple of Cloncooley's efforts since then have probably been on the wrong ground. But I But tomorrow, from stall 1, Jamie Spencer's going to get the chance to come down the wing. I think on ground, as I say, on ground that he's definitely going to like. I think you can easily forgive. I can easily forgive at least 2 of the efforts since Ascot, and a couple of them have been absolutely fine. Didn't get beaten too far at York, over 7 when doing all of his best work late on that day too. So as I say, back on, I thought he was a pound higher. I tell you, he's actually back on the same mark now as when he was just touched off in the Hunt Cup. He'd be the first one. I think if you're having a backup from stall 4, Mitcham Swagger makes a little bit of appeal. He's a horse that's hard to catch right. I think it would be fair to say, but and I don't think the small field helped him last time. I think this bigger, he was third at Redcar when he was given a really good chance. And I don't think the small field is particularly what he wants. I think this might be more of his thing. He's got form here at Ascot. He's got plenty of form on soft ground. I think Rob Hornby in the saddle is, I do like Rob Hornby a lot. And a marker 105 now looks fair enough. You are taking a bit of a chance that he is on a going day, but again, you're getting 25 to 1 for your money. So I thought they were the 2 interesting ones. I mean, listen, I get the case for Lord North, and he could just be considerably better class. Well, this will be the heaviest ground that he's raced on. He won on soft on debut, but that was only a novice race at Redcar. This is a different kettle of fish, so you are asking Lord North a new question. Let's have a look at 1 or 2 of the jumps, ones that are sort of marked out as quite interesting. Over at Stratford, which is where I'm going to be tomorrow, 3:30. 2 or 3 interesting ones in this, and there are 1 or 2 angles that you can sort of look at the race from. The one I ended up going with, I wish the yard was in a little bit better form. That's my sort of question mark. But Corrie Lindo, mark of 116. The interesting thing for me with Corrie Lindo is the way that they bet this horse first time out at Bangladesh here on the first run for the yard. It wasn't the first run of the season. It had a run the month before, but it was the first run for Henry Oliver. And there were all sorts of fancy prices around in the morning, and all they did was bet this horse like they knew it was way in front of its mark. It travelled like the best horse in the race all the way through at Bangor and ended up getting chinned. Ended up getting chinned by a short head by Smuggler's Blues. It ran to a very similar level at Bangor again the month after, and then all sorts of disappointing on its last start at Uttoxeter, but comes back here off a break, had a wind up, the tongue tie is on. I don't think the ground is going to be an issue. I don't think it's going to be dreadful at Stratford tomorrow. It never tends to be. I think the ground will be fine. The trip 2.5 is probably ideal. Again, I think if they come for Corrie Lindo, if there's a bit of money around, that would increase confidence. But I've got no doubt that he's better than this mark of 116. He will leave this mark behind, whether it be tomorrow or at some point in the future. But he's better than this. I had a look at the 435 as well, which is it's only a 0 to 100 handicap. I think Hurricane Rita. It's interesting because there's 3 of them that will probably want the lead, and your temptation is to look for something to come off the pace because they'll go too quick. But I actually think that Hurricane Rita, over those first 2 fences that come reasonably quickly, might see the other front runners off, and then I can see Hurricane Rita making a very good jumper of a fence for a horse that's a low level horse. She does ping him. And comes here in good form, ground absolutely fine. And if you can see the other 2 front runners off early on, I think she'll take a bit of pegging back. I think then what will happen is the other 2 front runners will just sort of get in the way of the other ones as they're trying to come through. The Jimmy Frost horse, Galanda, was the one that was, I thought, quite interesting. But again, he is a front runner. But dropping back to 2 mile 1, and they're putting the tongue tie on tomorrow, which he has tried in the past and ran okay in. I thought he was the sort of interesting one against it, as it were. They were the 2 for me. I think one of those 2 will win. And in the 5:10, which is a lady female professional jockeys and amateur riders race, I've got to be with the top one here, Don Juan de Huey, who is surely better than this grade. Got Torstone 3 to hunt, but then they've all got some weight here, which is a reason that I'm sort of against the likely favourite here, Percy Prosecco, who has won his last 2 at Catterick and Wolverhampton on the flat. but he ain't very big, Percy Prosecco. I made the point before, he's quite small. And whether he can hump 12 stone 3 around, I don't know. Don Wanderhue will be able to carry the weight. He's a proper jumping type. And some of his novice form last season sort of might him out to want to follow over hurdles when he went handicapping, but it never really happened for him in a couple of runs. He didn't run dreadful at Ludlow in April, finished sort of midfield, but then he was completely threw it in at Warwick on his final start. I've not seen him since. And again, I think maybe fresh might be the time to catch him. He's got Bryony Frost on board as well, which can only be a plus. A mark of 102, dropped in grade. You know, I think everything sort of points towards him being the one. I just think he's better class than these, and that's the bottom line with it. I think they're a moderate bunch. But I think Don Wanderhue is just, you know, a sort of class 4 stroke, hopefully in time, class 3 animal in the class 5 race. So if he's fit tomorrow, and that'll be the key, if he's fit and ready to go tomorrow, I think he's going to be too good for that lot. Other bits and pieces over at Foslas, Tidal Flow and Le Presien were probably two that I was interested in. Tidal Flow in the Novice Chase, I've been looking forward to jumping a fence this season. I don't think it'll be a great price though. I can see him sort of being around the sort of 2 to 194 mark, I think, when they open up, which would be, you know, where I'd expect him to be honest. I don't think he'd be overpriced. And I thought Le Presien, who was second in their champion hurdle last year, I've got a reasonable chance of going one better this time around. There's a lot of horses in there that will want further than a bare 2 mile. If it was over, you know, sort of 2.5, the likes of Klein and Court Cody had been more interesting. But I think at 2, I thought Le Presien had a decent chance of going one better than last year. Not a race, I don't know. I say a lot of these bets are going to depend on what prices they go. I think when prices come out this evening, is there a best bet out of all of that lot? I'm not sure I've got a best bet at Ascot. The one I'm hopeful on is Don Wanderhue in that 510 at Stratford. I think I'm hopeful that he's just better grade than these. And if he's fit tomorrow, I think that's going to be the key. And if he is, I think he's better than that lot. So I've been more than hopeful that Don Wanderhue will win this and leave this mark behind. The best of luck then with all your bets over the weekend. I will be back. I say I am doing the punt next week, but it won't be me doing it sort of live each morning, as it were. Next week, you're going to get my 15 horses to follow. And I can absolutely guarantee you that they won't be coming. There won't be many other people's to follow lists. There's none of this. I saw a list yesterday that had got the likes of Geffy Desoy and Ken Boy on as horses to follow this season. Thanks for that. You've been burning the midnight oil to find those. Mine hasn't got anything like that in, I promise you that now. So hopefully you'll enjoy those next week. I'll be back then week on Tuesday and tell you how my week's been. Thanks a lot, guys. Ta-ra.